Hello, welcome to Mathways. In this video, I have chosen an important topic for you, especially those who are going to appear in the board exam. The topic is Tips for IGCSE Mathematics 0580 examination. Meanwhile, I would like to remind you, if you have not subscribed my channel yet, please subscribe so that you will not miss any videos. I am preparing so many videos, important videos for you. You should not miss any. Okay, so let's start this video. As the topic suggests, tips for IGCSE Mathematics 0580 examination. So we'll see what are the important points to take care in the exam. In the exam, before the exam, and after the exam. So we'll start with syllabus content. Syllabus content, what you need to know about. The topics which are covered in IGCSE Mathematics is number, algebra and graphs, coordinate geometry, vectors and transformations, geometry, mensuration, trigonometry, probability, statistics. And this you can see here, growth and decay in number section. That is for extended only. This is the overall syllabus for core and extended both. Some topics are highlighted here. Those are only for extended students, those who are opting for extended maths, like algebraic fractions, harder simultaneous equations, proportion, linear programming functions, gradient of curves, derived functions, and differentiation. Similarly, from vector, magnitude of a vector, represent vectors by direct line segments, position vectors, all these are parts of for the extended candidates. Same way, sine rule, cosine rule, trigonometric graph, solving simple trigonometric equations. These are the topics for only extended students. And from probability, conditional probability, that is only for extended candidates. Okay. So now we'll see how will you be assessed. So you'll be assessed at the end of the course using two written examinations. The papers that you will sit are different for the core and extended courses. You must be aware of that, but still I will cover this here. Core paper 1 and paper 3. In paper 1, short answer questions are asked, and paper 3, structured questions are asked. In extended paper 2 and paper 4, paper 2 for short answer questions, paper 4 is for structured questions. So make sure you find out from your teacher which course you will be following. It is decided by your teacher, and you sitting together, you can decide that which course you should go for, whether you are going for core or extended. That depends on you and your teacher. Seeing your performance, your teacher decides which course you should opt for. Okay. Now, let us see components at a glance and their weightage. Core paper 1, 1 hour 56 marks, and its weightage is 35% here. Paper 3, 2 hours, 104 marks, weightage is 65%. Extended paper 2, 1 hour 30 minutes, 70 marks. Paper 4, 2 hours 30 minutes, 130 marks. Weightage for paper 2 is 35%, and for paper 4 is 65%. Okay. Now, general advice for all papers for the candidates. You should always read the question carefully to make sure that you understand what is being asked. Give your answer to the accuracy indicated in the question. If none is given and the answer isn't exact, then give your answer to three significant figures. So keep in mind that you supposed to give answer in 3SF if no instruction given in the question. If the answer is in degrees, then give it to 1 decimal place. So like if you are writing 23 degree, it would be wrong. You will be losing your answer mark. It should be 23.1 means 1 degree you have to write. Next point. Include units with your answers if they are not given on the paper. For example, 1 kg of apples costs. So dollar or pound, whatever, that should be mentioned there if in the answer space units not provided. We should write for your side. Now, show your working. Show as much working as you can for all your questions. Don't try to do short shortcut. Okay. Now, if you make a mistake, clearly cross out any working or answers that you do not want the examiner to mark. Like it has been done here. You need to cross once and you write neatly again. Some more points like make sure that you give your answer in the form asked for in the question. For example, some question asked for answers to be given in terms of pi. For lengths, areas and volumes, give answers in decimals, not in surds or in terms of pi. Remember, for lengths, areas and volumes, give answers in decimals, not in surds or in terms of pi, unless you are told to give an exact answer. Next point, use the value of pi from your calculator or use 3.142 which is given on the front page of the question paper. Always better to use pi directly in the formula wherever you are using. You can gain marks for the correct working even if you have an incorrect answer or cannot complete the whole question. So, methods must be shown. If you need more space, ask for extra of paper and clearly indicate where the rest of the answer is written. You can ask for extra papers from the invigilators and you can attach your paper at the end in the answer sheet. Okay. On the additional paper, make it clear which question you are answering. You must mention their question, proper question number. Okay. Which question you are answering there. Okay. What are the equipments required for the exam? Make sure you have a blue or black pen, a pencil for graphs and diagrams, an electronic calculator, a protractor, a pair of compasses, a ruler. These are the things required in exam. So you should always have. Now, timing is very important. If you are stuck on the question, don't waste too much time trying to answer it. Go on to the next question and come back to the one you are stuck on at the end. Use any time that you have left at the end of the exam to go back and check your answers and working. See, this is very important. You should save some time at the end for checking your overall all the answers are going through your work, so that if you have done any calculation mistake or you have done any mistake anywhere, you can correct them. So revision is very important at the end of the exam before submission of the paper. Okay. Now I'll show here example candidate response. How the question is given, what are the keywords mentioned there, what do they mean, and what the examiner suggests. This section takes you through an example question and learner response from one of the 2020 specimen papers for the course. It will help you to identify the command words and other key instructions within questions and to understand what is required in your response. All information and advice in this section is specific to the example question and response being demonstrated. It should give you an idea of how your responses might be viewed by an examiner, but it is not a list of what to do in all questions. This is just example. In your own examination, you will need to pay careful attention to what each question is asking you to do. So let us see in this section structure as follows. Question. The command words and instructions in the question have been highlighted and explained. This should help you to understand clearly what is required by the question. Then mark scheme given. This tells you as clearly as possible what an examiner expects from an answer to award marks. Example candidate response. This is an example answer written in a style of a high level candidate. Then how the answer could have been improved. Suggestions from the examiners given here. Then what common mistakes students do, that is also highlighted. So this will help you to avoid common mistakes made by candidates. So often candidates lose marks in their exams because they misread or misinterpret the questions. Okay, so let us see one by one. Question. The question used in this example is from specimen paper 3, 4. It represents the type of structured questions you will see in both paper 3 and paper 4. A structured question means that it is broken into several parts. Often later parts will depend on your answer to earlier parts. So, like here, 8, question number 8, then A, then subparts are 1, 2, then part B, C. So, basically parts and subparts are here. So, these type of questions are called structured questions. Now, in this, see, the first instruction is here. It says uh, work out the value of x. So workout indicates that the answer should be calculated from the given information, so measurement will not score marks. So in this case, if you are measuring the angle and writing, you will not get any mark for that because see here it is written not to scale. This means that you cannot find the answer by measuring the diagram. So you have to be very careful in reading the question and instructions. Okay. Now, allocation of mark, 1 mark indicates that the answer can be obtained with minimum working. If it is a 1 mark question, minimum working is required. Okay. Next. Work out again. Work out the value of W in this question, part B. See, give reasons for your answer. Give reasons for your answer indicates that your answer should be supported with reasons using the correct mathematical terminology. You must justify your answer. So W here you have to write the value and then after because you have to mention the regions. So you will get 3 marks. Now use trigonometry. Here indicated that you have to use trigonometry to get the answer. So use trigonometry to calculate indicates that you should use the method with the given information to find the answer. And that calculator is needed to solve the problem. If you did not use trigonometry, you would not be awarded any mark. Keep in mind. If method mentioned that you have to use this method, you are supposed to solve the question using that particular method only to get the marks. Okay. The diagram shows the path of a plane from airport A to airport B. In this diagram, you see airport A to airport B. Show that the distance between A and B is 375 km. What is the meaning here? Show that. Show that indicates that answer is given and you need to write down all of the steps in a method that leads to the given answer. You need to provide evidence that you understand and know how the answer is reached. So each and every step must be shown here to reach the answer. If you are skipping any of the step, even obvious, that you'll for that also you'll be losing marks. So keep in mind that you are supposed to show very small steps also. Now, next question is the plane flies at an average speed of 450 km per hour. It leaves A at 14:45 and flies directly to B. Work out the time the plane arrives at B. Workout indicates that you should calculate the answer from the given information. Workout means you have to calculate the answer from the given information. The mark allocation of 4 marks suggests that you will need to include several steps of working in order to get the answer. Okay. Now let us see example candidate response. It is answered by one of the student in board exam, and let us see how does it look and how can he improve, where he got the mark, where he lost the mark, that we are going to see. Okay, so same question what we discussed above. Work out the value of x. So what he did, 180 minus 74 plus 71 equal to 177. So what it says, the candidates working suggests they understand that the angle sum of a triangle is 180 degree, but they did not include brackets around 74 plus 71. So answer 177 degree is not sensible for this question. So what you would have done here to get the correct answer, you should have put a bracket here. Okay. So this answer is wrong. 177 is not a correct answer. So he got 0 mark out of 1. Okay. For part 2, y. Y value he wrote 74 degree. The candidate recognizes that there are parallel lines and that angle y is corresponding angle to angle 74 degree. So answer is correct. Let's see part B. How did he answer and what marks he got? Work out the value of W. Give reasons for your answer. So what he did? 180 minus 128 to get this answer. Okay, fine. That is 52. 180 minus 85 minus 52 equal to 43. That is also correct. So the candidate has given a correct answer for W and shown correct working in 2 steps. They have given a correct reason for 52 degree. So for the first step, he gave this reason. But for the second step, he did not provide any reason. So he lost 1 mark. So he got 2 out of 3. Okay. Here he should have it should have been written that angle sum of an angle is 180 degree. That was the second reason for this question. Okay. Next. In this, what it did, sine p equal to 8 divided by 15 equal to 0.53. The candidate has correctly used trigonometry in their method. They are awarded 1 method mark for the first line of working. However, they have rounded 0.5333 to 0.53, not 0.52, actually 0.5. Okay, and that you have to avoid. And they calculated the inverse of sine of 0.53 rather than 0.53333. This has resulted in inaccurate final answer. This is called premature approximation. You have to keep in mind this point. premature approximation. You, at least 4 to 5 SF you should take the previous answers before the final answer you write for in 3 SF. Okay, so you should not round it here 0.5333 to 53 and then get the answer. You have to take the whole answer, or you can, what you can do, you can store this calculated 0.5333 in answer key, and then you can take sign inverse of answer. So you can use wisely your calculator, and that will be giving you the correct answer. Okay, so you can avoid losing marks like this. Next, the diagram shows the path of a plane from airport A to airport B. Now, show that the distance between A and B is 375 kilometers. What the student has done, AB square equal to, he wrote 300 square plus 225 square. He has applied Pythagoras theorem correctly. He got this, but he skipped the step showing that he has taken the square root and got this answer. So instead of 2 marks, he got just 1 method mark. So when show that instruction given, that means we are supposed to show each and every step involved, whether it is very minor step. Okay. Now the plane flies at an average speed. This question we have already discussed, but work out the time. Time we have to calculate. So he calculated time equal to distance by speed. So he got 0.83333. Now correctly he changed this 2 minutes. Now arrives at 14:45 and then plus 50 minutes. So 3:35. But when you writing the answer written in 12-hour clock format, but could not add AM or PM at the end with the answer. That is must. If you are writing the time in 12-hour clock format, AM or PM must be mentioned. If it is 20-hour clock format, then it is fine. Okay. So take care that when you are writing the time, you have to be very careful. How the answer could have been improved. This is the examiner's suggestion. In part A1, the answer of 177 degree was not sensible given the diagram in the question. If the candidate had checked their answer for sense, they would have realized they had made a mistake. It is always a good idea to check that your answer seems sensible before you move on to another question. See, in the diagram, you can see that the answer should be a acute angle, but answer he got is obtuse angle. So he should have said that it is not sensible. Okay. Now, in part B, the candidate did all the correct steps but failed to provide both regions. There were 2 steps to the method which should have indicated to the candidate that there were 2 steps to justify the, and therefore 2 regions should have been provided. The mark allocation for the question 3 also indicates that more than 1 region would be required. So see, 3 marks. So 1 mark for the answer 43 degree and other 2 marks for 2 regions. Okay. So you should have mentioned 2 regions there in that question. In part C, the candidate rounded an intermediate answer which affected the accuracy of the final answer. This caused them to lose mark despite using a correct method. You should only ever round the final answer. Do not round intermediate values. If you can, store the intermediate values in your calculator so that you can use the full value in the calculations. If you are not able to do this and you have to round the intermediate values, do not round them to less than 3 significant figures. So you can round this to 4 to 5 SF, not 3 SF, because they are intermediate answers, not final answers. So intermediate values you can round to 4 to 5 SFs. So your final answer in 3 SF will be correct and will not be losing marks. In part D, 1, the candidate missed out a step in the method as this was a show that question. They needed to show all the steps in the method. It is important to show all the steps even if they seem obvious. In part D2, the candidate made a silly error by not stating that the time was PM. When working with time, answers are accepted in either 24 o'clock or 12 o'clock time, but if you give your answer in the 12-hour clock, then it must include AM or PM as well. Keep in mind. Common mistakes, what generally students do. There were a number of common mistakes made by other candidates to this question. In part C, accuracy of answers. The first point is accuracy of answers. In part C and D2, a common error was premature rounding. Rounding intermediate values in the method before the final answer, which resulted in their final answer not being accurate. Other candidates gave the final answer to less than 3 significant figures, ignoring the instruction on the front of the paper to round to 3 significant figures. So, accuracy of answers, because of accuracy of answers, students lose marks. These are the common mistakes done by the most of the students. Using incorrect terminology when giving regions. In part B, the most common error was to not give full regions to support the answer. Another common error was to provide a region that did not use the correct mathematical language such as they add up to 180 degrees. See, if you are talking about angles in a triangle add up to 180 degree, you should write that. You should not write they add up to 180 degrees. It does not make any sense. What add up to? So you have to mention angles in a triangle add up to 180 degree, and it is a straight line which could not be awarded marks. See, if you are talking about this property, angle on a straight line add up angles on a straight line add up to 180 degree, we cannot say that it is a straight line. You need to write that angles on a straight line add up to 180 degree. Okay. Lack of knowledge. In part C, a number of candidates had limited knowledge of trigonometry and did not choose the correct trigonometric ratio, which was the sine ratio. This is why good revision is important. So, you should revise well so that you will remember that which trigonometric ratio to use in the particular question. Okay. Generally, the students choose a incorrect ratio and they get wrong answers. Not checking answers. In part A1, even though the diagram is drawn not to scale, it is possible to see that the angle is an acute angle and should therefore not be bigger than 90 degrees. This alert candidates that if their answer is over 90 degrees, it is not a sensible answer and they should go back and check their working. Okay. Inefficient method shown. In part C, the show that a question. A number of candidates omitted an important step from the method. This is often common in show that questions where every step must be shown no matter how obvious they seem. Now, what are the general advices here? In order to do your best when answering a mathematics question, make sure you revise all of the topics for the syllabus you are studying before the exam. Understand what all the key terms and command words in the question mean. So you need lot of past papers. That will be helpful. Read the questions carefully and consider what you need to do before you do it. Only round the final answer, not intermediate values. Very important point. Show all steps in your working and show them clearly. Round to the correct degree of accuracy. Use the correct mathematical terminology, especially when you are writing reasoning. Check your answer seems reasonable given the context of or details of the question. Okay. Now, what are the other useful advice for Cambridge IGCSE Mathematics? Before the exam, make sure that you are familiar with your calculator and confident in using it. Sometimes because of calculator use, students get incorrect answers and they lose marks. So make sure you are familiar with the calculator and confident in using it. Okay. Look at the example candidate response earlier in this guide. You can ask for example candidate response from your subject teacher. They can provide you. You can go through it. That is very helpful in understanding what mistake you should avoid. Can you identify the strengths of the response and where they have made mistakes or lost marks? When you are attempting a past paper, a question from a past paper, complete it without referring to your notes so that you get a true idea of your strengths and weaknesses. Then go back through the paper using your notes and a different colored pen to make corrections and changes. After you have done as much as you can on the paper, mark it using the mark scheme. Take notes of any points that you lost marks on. See what it says, that when you are practicing past papers, first solve on your own without taking help of your notes, textbooks, anything, right? Then again, now sit with your notebooks, textbook, again resolve the papers, whatever you forgot to solve or you did not know what to do. Now at the end, then check with MS where you are losing marks and where means you have to mark your own paper according to the MS. And if you get any important points, you must note it down. Okay. Now, don't just revise a topic that you enjoy and are confident in. If you identify an area that you are weaker in, then try to revisit the topic by reviewing their notes and doing some practice questions. Then use exam questions to check whether you now understand or not. Okay. If you are weak in any topic, that should not mean you should neglect that or you should ignore that. You have to make sure that that topic also you can answer. So you need to focus more on that topic and revise well, learn it, take help of your teacher, take help of your peer students. Okay, next, return to topics later in your revision to check that you still remember and understand the topic and to help to ensure that you recall more of the material when you get to the examination. So these are the important points need to remember. I hope this video is useful for you. Many of the points we discussed, what care should be taken in the exam, before the exam, and at the end of the exam. Okay. If you have not subscribed my channel, I request you to subscribe the channel so that you will not miss any of my video. Okay. Wish you all the best for your exam. Thank you. Keep watching.